Okay, lawsuits. The car industry is imploding, and yeah, well, I really want to just talk about this lawsuit. I think it was important that we had this lawsuit. I think it was something that our industry needed for a very long time to shake it up and make sure that we understood that people that are in this industry are not here just for the money. So my standing for a very long time, since I got into it, I realized that realtors didn't have a great name, just like lawyers and car sales. And, it's a professional service. And my problem with real estate has always been that it's been a very low barrier to entry compared to other businesses, compared to other industries, right? You could set up shop pretty quick, get your license. It's really easy to get a license. And what happened was it made it so that the lowest 10% of pretty much every industry kind of trickled into real estate because it was just so easy to get your license. And that's always been a problem. Like in California, you only need 3 basic classes. They can be online classes, and there's no grade on those. You just go through them, and then you have to study for an exam. You have to pass the exam with 70%. You have a C plus. You have a C average to get a test, and yet people don't pass it. Now, bragging or anything, I was the second guy out for my agent's exam. I don't know what my score is because they don't tell you what it is, but I studied it, and it did not prepare me for real estate. There are basic questions like 43560 is the square footage of an acre, and 640 acres to a square mile. Things like that, yeah, you use them, but just they don't really prepare you for marketing and networking and how to do a transaction and how to represent your clients correctly. It's just basic questions. And that was always my problem with it. So we see all these people coming in, especially when the market's hot and the market swells, and there's tons of agents out there not necessarily doing the right thing or representing the client the right way. They're just in it for the quick buck. And in real estate, you can get a quick buck pretty easily, right? So that's been my problem for a very long time. And I've always maintained that real estate, if you practice real estate, it should be a minimum of a master's level degree in order to practice it. I mean, we're dealing with millions of dollars of other people's money. Just like a lawyer or a doctor, you should have to go through school and have a degree and be a professional in every light, where over the years we've evolved into what we have today. And part of that starts with the largest union, or the second largest union in the United States, which is the National Association of Realtors, next to National Rifle Association, or the lobbying union, or whatever you want to call it. And I've never been a fan of NAR. NAR has always been for themselves. They never really watched out for us. Yeah, they might call themselves a consumer advocate, but yet we have, let's open this thing up right here. All right. After losing high-profile verdict, realtors group hit with largest lawsuit on agent commissions. Now, why is that important to you? Well, because they maintain that we conspired as an industry to keep commissions high. Well, I have some problems with that, right? Yes and no. Maybe the groups or the companies required their agents to have a certain level of high-end commissions, right? 6%. That was what they leveraged, is that they went high. But in fact, the average commission over the years have actually gone down by a small percentage, by tenths of a percentage over the last couple decades, because there's so many people that are in the business. And there's a lot of people, a lot of agents that will do it for flat fee. There's flat fee servicers. There's discount servicers. Uh, there's a whole industry of different ways to choose. Now, a company might decide to go to business and say, we don't want that business. We don't want to deal with the people with home sellers that only want to do 1% commissions. Well, great, don't, right? Well, these lawyers came and said, oh, you guys are charging too much. And maybe it's something where some companies required their people to say something a different way, right? Now, I don't know exactly how they did it. I can tell you that the lawsuit that was lost to NAR, Keller Williams and Home Services of America were also included in this for a $1.8 billion verdict. I know that Remax settled out for like $53 million because they just didn't want to be a part of it. They said, you know what, we're done. So that was the first straw that broke the camel's back and came down crumbling. And yeah, so Keller Williams is part of that. I don't know exactly who's, but here's the problem with this, right? It's a class action lawsuit. And I have options to be a party to many class action lawsuits, especially going against the military. I served at Camp Lejeune. I see those commercials all the time. I have hearing loss. There's class action lawsuits. And here's the problem with that. The plaintiff, the individuals in the class action lawsuit, and any class action lawsuit typically gets anywhere from 5 to 30%. They get mere dollars after having to pay taxes and all that other stuff. They get dollars over all this angst and issue to hurt another entity. And not saying feel my woes, but the lawyers that are doing these class action lawsuits, they're the ones that are punitively hurting other industries, and they're making out with 30%. So 30% versus 6%, I don't know. I think they're making more money off of this than anybody else. Just my point on this one. This is just the way I'm looking at that. Going back to NAR, I said I've never been a fan of them because I don't really get a whole lot of benefit for me paying the dues, and my MLS requires that I be a part of NAR. And if you don't know, it goes national, state, then local. And mine happens to be SCORE, Santa Clara County Area Association of Realtors, and they require that I pay dues to California Association of Realtors and National Association of Realtors. And I do use CAR. I use CAR a lot. I think it's a fantastic service. They do lobby inside of the state, but NAR tends to push their way around. They do a lot of things, and it's just a big money bucket. And they've had a lot of bad news lately. Their CEO got fired or was asked to resign for sexual abuse allegations. I don't know if that's true or not. It's not really my business. I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. But when it comes to a national association, the second largest association or the second most powerful lobbying group in the United States, they're only feeding themselves. They're not really, they say they are for the consumer. They say they are for the individual agents, but I don't see it. I don't see a lot of value out of that. So I'm now shopping around looking for another MLS within my region that allows me to not be a part of NAR. And that should be an option, especially after this. I don't want to be trampled in with all this stuff. Now, let's talk about choice, right? Commission, and we're taught that in the test from day one. Commissions are always negotiable, right? Between you and me, I decide what I'm going to charge. And if you decide you want to work with me, that's great, right? And there's other people out there. There's also smaller companies out there. There's Help You Sell and Assist to Sell and 1%er companies out there all day long. And there are other agents that do 1% all day long, right? And they have a great business. They're busy as all heck. I have been rolling this out for the last couple of years, I've always maintained that you have your choice, right? I want to make sure that I'm not trying to sell you on anything, but I want to make sure that you do have a choice when it comes to working with us. And we can go 6%, 4%, whatever it is. My job is to make sure that I represent you the way you want to be represented. I'm not here to pull strings. I'm not here to talk smack about other companies. I'm just here to help you sell your house. I am a Sherpa. I'm a guide. Sorry, let me get over here. I'm here to give you your choice on how you want to be served. And then I'm going to serve you as a client. I'm your Sherpa. I'm your guide. I help you get up the mountain of selling your house or buying a house. That's it. Right. And if you think that you can do it for 1% or 1.5%, great. Let's do that. Right. But don't expect me to jump through the hoops, bring in my project manager, get in all these, bring in the service to make sure we do it. There's a level of service that I offer that gets you on the MLS, and that's it. We don't do any repairs. We don't do any staging. We just get it on the MLS. But if you want a full service, bring in proper project managers, bring in contractors. We manage the whole thing for you. We even bring in movers so you can interview them. We help move your utilities over. We do a whole slew of different things to help move you, get you into the next house. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. If you want to do it all yourself, let's do it. No problem. Now, because of that, this one's actually one of the reasons why I left Compass is because I felt that I was bait and switched, right? I came in with a specific commission split with them and certain fees, and the next year they changed it on me, and I didn't agree to it, and yet they still did it. And then the next year they increased my commission split on their side. So I just didn't like how they do it. Now, I didn't really appreciate their little software package that they made us use because it was really confusing and complicated, and it only did a small portion of what I needed to do in real estate. Because in real estate, there's, I want to say 20, 25 different software programs that we use to make sure that we go along and sell your house, from contracts to marketing to CRM to outreach to everything. And it just didn't work for me. It's nothing against the company, nothing against the managers that I worked with or the people in the office that I worked with. I thought they were all very professional. So there you go. There was another thing. So I understand that. Yeah, this is it right here. I think this was it. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. So on top of everything else, now that first, NAR plans on appealing this $1.8 billion lawsuit. So now they have this lawsuit to appeal, but now those lawyers are coming back and suing Compass, Redfin, EXP, NAR again, EXP World Holdings, Redfin, Weikart, and United Real Estate, and Howard Hanna Real Estate, and Douglas Elliman, Ketchmark, and yeah. So now that the dam has a crack with water coming out of it, they're going to come in and change everything. I don't know how this is going to change out, right? My option thing might not even be allowed anymore. I have no idea. We have no idea where this is going. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to go. But here, the other part too is you have fintech that's coming in saying, "Hey, this is great. Don't use realtors because they have a bad name. Use us and we'll help you out." Well, you got to be very careful when you sell your house through them because, one, you don't know what the open market will give you, right? Two, they're going to come back and give you other fees could be 6%, could be 10% on top of selling their house. And then they come back and negotiate repairs and damages. And you wind up getting screwed a lot of times. Now, a lot of people walk away with open door and they're happy, and they're done. The problem is how are you going to get to the next house, right? Once a agent finds out, they're going to be less motivated to work with you. So I don't know. A lot of things are coming down the pike. So we might not be around in 5 years. I don't think NAR is going to be around, or if they are, they're going to be pummeled down into a little puppy, a brand new little puppy thing, or an old dog, not knowing what's going on. They're going to lose their power in lobbying. They're going to lose their power as far as being an advocate for the consumer and the agent. I think there's a lot of things that are going to happen. And that's too bad because they lost sight of who they were. And I think their best days are way behind them. Again, you always have options, right? It's always negotiable. And it's negotiable for me to work with you too, right? If you come at me and say, I'm only going to pay you 0.5% and I demand this, this, and this, my decision is I don't want to work with you. You know, I'm busy. I'm happily busy, gratefully busy. But at the same time, you know, I choose who I want to work with, because if you're going to be very demanding and you're not going to listen to me and you're not going to let me do my job as a Sherpa, you're not going to let me do my job as a Sherpa, then we're not, yeah, it's just, it doesn't work. I've been through that with a few people where I've had horrible clients that just were not humble. They thought that they knew better and they wound up screwing themselves and blaming me. So winds up where I have a very fine niche of people that I work with, and I am pleasantly busy. Okay, well, anyway, let's get into this. Repos are coming down the pike. I keep mentioning this. Why do I keep mentioning? Why do you care? Why would I care about talking about real cars, automotive? Well, it's one of the main indicators in our GDP, in our economy, that, there we go. I'm going to go over here real quick. There we go. It's one of the main indicators in our economy, and it's also a stack of the house of cards, right? If you look at medical, automotive, real estate, tech, finance, military, this is one of the most delicate parts of our GDP right now, of our economy. Our economy is tilting right now. While everybody says that unemployment's up and our economy is doing great and the stock market's doing great, we're seeing things like inflation and all sorts of indicators that are happening that are making life a lot more difficult for the average American. So I think our average income is $70,000 a year. And when you look at that, it makes it really hard to pay $9,000 a year in car payments on top of insurance and maintenance and et cetera. And you'll see, I've pushed out multiple videos and articles on how the used market is coming in with a lot of repossessions, or cars just simply turned in. Because somebody will buy a car, pay $1,000 a month, and then all of a sudden they get into an accident and their insurance doesn't cover it because they got the bare minimum. By the way, we have, I'll put a link there, of a insurance guy that's an insurance broker, and help you walk through the process of making sure you're fully insured, not getting the bare minimum for your house and your car and everything else. So why is this happening? Because people are overbuying. They're getting cars that they can't afford. Not everybody, right? Just the, bottom 3% of the country can't afford to have $1,000 a month payment on top of insurance and maintenance and gas. It just becomes a thing where I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to turn it back in. I don't care about my credit. And we see it happening over and over again, where delinquency will happen, repos will happen, and we're going to see this as one of the possible indicators or cards that fall that bring down the house of cards in our economy. So just keep an eye on the automotive industry. All right. Gold prices are shooting up. I heard somebody in a podcast a couple days ago saying, I think gold's going to get to 5,000. I don't know anything about that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a finance guy, but I can tell you that I remember a couple years ago when it was 1,300, I wanted to buy it, and I was told, no, don't bother. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. It'll be back down. When it was 2016, 2018, I was like, I should buy it. I should buy it. But who knows? It could come back down, right? It could come back down. Who knows? All data. Let's take a look at this. 2004, 30 years. And this goes back to 2004. Okay, well, there you go. Oh, 1994. See, back when it was below 500. That's good times. Okay, really quick. Nothing special happening here, right? Inventory still low. We had a lower amount of closes, but that's because it's fall time. It's getting into winter. Rates are high, so we're not going to have as much, but we don't have that much inventory either. We just don't. We don't have this right here shows that we're at a low lull in inventory. We need more inventory, but demand is outpacing the inventory, the supply, right? If you look last year, we had 79 closes versus our 58, 73% down. Last year, our average sales price was 1.634. This year, it's 1.661. If you look at the averages, we're only $45,000 away from each other. So on the average, we're not doing too bad. If you look at the average over the last couple of weeks, I think we're doing okay, right? We had a pretty big dip here last week and then last week. So kind of jumps up and down, which is why I keep going back here. High was 133 over. We had out of the 58 closings, we had 46 homes sold over list price, which is 79%, 80%. So on average, it's really 65%, right? Days on market is 13 versus last year's 32, 19% or 57 pendings this last week, which is, again, it's coming down. I agree. But, this market, this is the season where we see things slow down. November, December, January, things tend to slow down. And then February, March, April, May, that's when we see it ramp up. So I think we're going to be okay. We'll see rates go up a bit and then come back down. I think by February next year, we're going to see rates start to come down. We had 24 cancellations and 28 TFTs. This, again, it's not worrying to me. Cancellations, withdrawal, expireds. We're seeing our 90 days go up quite a bit, although it shrank quite completely, mostly because, they canceled. But we also have more houses on market over 40 days. Pricing is important. When you go to sell your house, sell it lower, list it lower, and you'll attract more people. That's it. All right. Again, guys, I don't know what's going to happen with this NAR thing. Negotiation, commissions are negotiable. I think we're going to see NAR lose its power, which I think is a good thing. I think we're going to see our industry restructure. And I always maintain that we should make our industry a master's level degree program. That's the only thing I could tell you is that will trickle out the lowest common denominators, the people that are coming in for the quick buck, and it'll give us another reason to be that much more professional. All right. Keep an eye on the automotive industry. I'm Vito Scarnecchia with Abitano. We'll see you out there.